This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Today is Wednesday, September the 28th, 2022. We're so glad you could join us. It's hard to believe that we're almost at the end of September. The year is just flying right by. Coming up in today's show, I sat down for a brief conversation with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig about the possibility of a return of high-path avian influenza as bird flu cases are starting to creep up in the migratory routes along the Great Lakes region. We could be dealing with the disease for a second time in a year. We also take a look at the ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down those markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, we're at the end of the trading day for this Wednesday, and we're turning to Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, what did we see in those grain markets today?
Well, we really didn't see a lot of movement in the grain markets, a little bit more in soybeans being negative for a while and then coming back toward the end of the day. Corn just kind of chopped around, held its own. We did see some increasing basis at river terminals because they want to get some of that grain. Harvest is slower than usual from their standpoint, and they're having difficulty getting some of that grain. But interior, some of the basis dropped. Corn, soybeans are moving in, so they did not wanting to pay up quite as much at this point in time, so it affected basis. So we really didn't see a whole lot going on corn soybeans wise. Harvest is progressing, but one of the things hanging over that market is the high dollar. Now the dollar did move to a new high earlier today, but then it fell back dramatically. Now I'm not suggesting that that's going to turn that market very quickly. It could have some influence why soybeans kind of came back a little stronger, but a one-day movement really doesn't make a market, let's say. So, but we have a high dollar, which has impacted or potentially could impact more of our exports. Now on the wheat side, there we were looking at some potential disruption in the Black Sea area. Some Russian ships have moved in there, and there's maybe some thinking that they could maybe cause some hindrance there, some blockage there, and that's putting a lot of people on edge. So wheat was up quite a bit today, close to 30 cents higher. And so the European Union also, coming back to the corn standpoint, their imports of corn jumped 81% since July 1st. Now, we knew that they were in some world of hurt there as far as some drought situations in different places were, but they've really stepped up on importing some of their corn. But we'll have to see how all that turns out. But from the grain side, on all three of those main categories, wheat was the one that was the most impressive, most strong, or gave them most strength based on some concerns over what's going on over in the Ukraine situation. That's going to be an ongoing concern. That's something that's not going to be rectified anytime soon. But other than that, we did see just general positioning, some moving back and forth, not a lot of fanfare today is how I term it.
Now, interesting that you were saying that the river terminals are increasing some of their bids, especially when we're hearing about low drafts on the Mississippi where they're going to have to take more barges, where that could run up some costs and stuff. I mean, what would be the idea of increasing the basis and gathering more grain at this time?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. They want to get it, I guess, and they want to try to move whatever they can. So even though there's some low draft, maybe they're still not being able to get enough pulled into the river terminals now to even satisfy what they have going down. I'm assuming that's the situation, or they want to get it into the river terminals to store it up so that they can get something to be in place for shipping. It's one of those hard things, whether it's widespread, whether, it's one of those market unanswered questions.
Well, definitely a head scratcher. Well, we'll go ahead and switch to the livestock side. We talked about that higher dollar. That's been affecting that side with the protein sales and stuff. Usually when grain's having the volatility or you see some lower movements, usually livestock can take advantage, but that has just not been the case lately.
No, livestock has been in a world of hurt lately. Even though we saw in the cattle complex, we saw a light trade yesterday, about even with the previous week. Now that's a little disappointing to feedlots, but we haven't really seen much take place today. So that's maintains some pressure there. And with that, higher interest rates, the concern over demand as we go forward here, that's been putting a lot of pressure on that market, and primarily the feeder cattle market when you look at between live cattle and feeder cattle. Now, feeder cattle, when you're looking at the November contract, there's been a head and shoulders technical study, or a technical, what do you want to call it, technical position in place, which really it's been following that. It's been dropping like a rock, and we still have some more downside to go before that's fulfilled. And that's the market has opened itself up for that the technicals side of the market is really taking over. But with that dollar like that, coupled with the interest rates, can really have an impact on consumer demand, both domestic and international. And that's really put a lot of pressure on that market. So even with corn prices being down some days, feeder cattle just haven't found any support at all. Now, on the hog side of it, that's been a bloodbath. I mean, we've saw 6 days of significant losses. I mean, coming into today, we were down in the December contract about $12. And it's been an incredible drop back, bringing futures back to where they were last December. Now, they did leave some chart gaps up quite a ways, which probably at some point will be filled. And it's surprising they've been this aggressive at selling prior to the hog and pig report that's coming out tomorrow. I would think that there would be some kind of a little bit of short covering, but we haven't really seen much of that today. Now, China's sow herd, they did say, was up 0.6% in the month of August, which is about 5.5% higher than usual. And China did late last week, they opened up some of their pork reserves to kind of temper some of their internal hog prices, but I don't think it's really having a lot of impact at this point in time. But there again, that translates back to, will they buy less of the U.S. Pork? We got the high dollar. Will their pork reserves dissipate some of their desire or their need to buy from the U.S.? So all those things are culminating together that have really put a lot of pressure on that cattle and the hog market. It's just been it's been really something to watch.
All right, Robin. Well, thanks for all the updated information. If folks want to make a marketing plan or talk some strategies, how do they get in touch with agmarket.net?
Well, they can call me directly at 877-256-3253, or they can go to agmarket.net. We got our main phone number on that, and anybody will be able to answer any questions or help in any way they can.
All right. Thanks, Robin. We appreciate the insight. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thank you. It's always a pleasure being on the show.
That again was Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Let's run down those closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. December corn was up 3 at 670.5. March up 3 3/4 at 676.5. November beans up 3/4 at 1408 3/4. January up 2 1/4 at 1416 1/4. Soy meal down 90 cents at $412.70 per ton. Soy oil down 24 cents at $62.15. Chicago wheat up 31 3/4 at $903 1/4. Minneapolis wheat up 28 3/4 at $972. Kansas wheat up 32 3/4 at $976 even. March oats up 7.5 at $381 3/4. December live cattle down 62 cents at 146.27. Feeders were down 32 cents at 175.37. Lean hogs up 67 cents at 89.37. Pork cutouts up 20 cents at 99.07. And Class 3 milk up a penny at 19.89. And that's been your Ag Market Recap. We're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I sit down with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AM/PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Well, bird flu is something we went through earlier this year after a 7-year hiatus from the 2015 outbreak, where we lost thousands upon thousands of birds and flocks were hurt. Well, we got through it a little bit more unscathed than we did the first go round, but we could be looking at a return of the disease coming up this fall. I talked with Iowa Ag Secretary Mike Naig. Something we talked about this spring. I was hoping we wouldn't have to talk about it this fall, but that's HPAI. Now, we've been lucky so far this fall, but our neighbors to the north, my homeland, they're seeing it pop up again. Talk about being prepared in case we see a second round this year of bird flu.
Boy, we sure hoped that we weren't going to be talking about this fall. And if you go back to 2015, when we last had high path, as the birds migrated north, they carried it with them, and we saw the outbreak in the spring. And then as they came south in the fall and into the winter, there was no subsequent outbreak. Unfortunately, it appears that this virus is hanging around in that wild bird population. Once again, you're seeing some both commercial and backyard flocks. Minnesota is being pretty hard hit right now, which again, it's somewhat logical. They're a large turkey producer. There's a lot of sites, a lot of birds. We just hate to see that for them and what they're going through and their producers. But we're also seeing it then in Ohio and Indiana and South Dakota and other places around us. So unfortunately, what it's telling us is as those birds are migrating south again, they're carrying it with them. So now is a time of increased vigilance again on the part of our producers. We are taking steps we're still looking back at the experience earlier this year and trying to assess if there's things that we can do better, things that we need to learn, be ready to go again this fall. So that's certainly our operational footing, is that we're ready to go. We sure hope we don't have to. And producers are really working hard right now to elevate that biosecurity.
And for one thing, though, and I mean, we talked about this towards the end of the outbreak this spring. I mean, it was such a night and day difference compared to what it was in 2015. I mean, we knew what to do. We had learned those lessons, unfortunately, the hard way those years ago. But we were able to basically kind of keep things to a minimal when you're looking at the fact of the impact we saw in our industry.
You know, that's right. And I'm proud of that fact. And there's really two things, again, that drove that. I think, one, it is a testament to the way that producers responded. They learned a lot of lessons about improving biosecurity on their farms. They've done the hard work. You've got to do that, though, every single day. And that's hard on them. And so I just commend our producers, because we saw a lot of lateral movement, a lot of farm-to-farm movement in 2015. We did not see that this time around, and that's a testament to them. It's also the response was better, was faster. We did a more effective job of finding those sites early, containing the virus on those sites, and then disposing of that virus on site. And that, again, is a testament to our team here at the Iowa Department of Ag and Land Stewardship, the state veterinarian and his team, but also our great partners with USDA. We learned a lot. We did a better job, but we will always try to work to do even better, because inevitably you find things that, gaps that we had or capacity issues that we had. But we're very fortunate in the state of Iowa. We've got a huge USDA facility up in Ames. We've got an Iowa State University vet diagnostic lab that's right there, ready to go. We've got a lot of assets that we can use when we're in a crisis situation.
That, again, was Iowa Agriculture Secretary Mike Naig here on AM/PM. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the weather outlook. Well, the skies are nice and sunny out there, a little bit cooler today than it was yesterday, and probably the coolest it's been since the summertime. We saw temperatures in the low 60s today. Beautiful day out there for a fall day. And now let's look ahead and see what the National Weather Service is saying for the next 24 hours. Well, some places woke up with just a little bit of frost on the pumpkin here to start the day, but we did see cooler temperatures across the state, and we saw, even today, comfortable conditions, but just a little cool, and mostly sunny and mild was what we saw today, and temperatures were in the 60s. Now, tonight, it will not be as cold as last night, where we saw some patchy frost. It'll be mostly clear, slightly warmer, and high on the upper 30s to the low 40s. And then tomorrow, warming up just a little bit, mostly sunny skies, and we'll see highs mid-60s to low 70s. Taking a look at the affiliate weather map, we see Cherokee is going to be sunny and 71 tomorrow, Shenandoah sunny and 70, Des Moines sunny and 68, Waterloo sunny 66, Albia sunny and 67, and Clinton will be sunny and 64 degrees. And that's been a check of your ag weather outlook. And that brings us to the end of today's show. We thank you for watching. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on our YouTube channel, where you can find past episodes of AM/PM. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified when every new episode comes out. Don't forget about our free twice daily market podcast. You can find them on Google, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Dustin Huffman for Riley Smith and Mark Magnuson. We thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.